A few days ago, the media talked about how a group of biologists managed to bring back a type of extinct wolf to life once again, after many years of experiments and scientific research, and they contributed to the birth of 3 puppies of a species that was indeed extinct. The news topped social media with headlines like "Scientists brought the dire wolf back to life after 10,000 years of extinction," or "Cloning a prehistoric wolf," or "Reviving the extinct wolf," and other such headlines. The topic sparked a lot of debate in the scientific community, and even among ordinary people. But here's the question. Can scientists really bring an extinct animal back to life, or what's the real story? Welcome, I'm Ezzo. But before we start, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you can get our videos firsthand. More than 200,000 years ago, there was a type of giant wolf that lived in the icy regions of North America and Northern Europe, known as the dire wolf, which was metaphorically called the terrifying wolf. This animal was characterized by its large size, snow-white fur, and physical features that made it one of the most prominent predators in its environment for a very long time. You could simply say that it was at the top of the food chain in the areas where it lived. It had a huge body size, larger than the current existing wolf. Its length reached about 2 meters, its shoulder height reached 90 centimeters, and its average weight ranged from 60 to 70 kilograms. And of course, it had sharp and strong teeth capable of crushing and breaking bones themselves, which is what made people call it the dire wolf, because of its terrifying bite power. The hunting style of the dire wolf relied on strength and direct confrontation, unlike the flexible and speedy hunting style that today's wolves rely on. That's why it hunted large, slow-moving prey such as the python, the American bison, and the ground sloth. It even used to attack extremely massive animals like the woolly mammoth, for example. But despite that, it didn't attack deer or elk because they were fast and didn't offer enough nutritional value worth the trouble. Then, with the end of the last ice age about 12,000 years ago, the Earth's climate conditions began to completely change, and the large herbivorous animals, which were a primary food source for it, started to decrease in number over time. This, in turn, affected the dire wolf itself because it could no longer find enough to meet its dietary needs. Its strong physical build and relatively slow speed were obstacles in chasing small, agile, and fast animals. That's why it eventually went extinct and disappeared like many other animals that went extinct with the end of the Ice Age. After the Ice Age, and until the mid-19th century, no one even knew anything about the dire wolf. No one had any background that this type of wolf had ever lived on Earth. But in 1854, a group of researchers discovered fossilized skeletal remains of a wolf at the bottom of the Ohio River in the American state of Indiana. But these bones were different from any other wolf bones they had seen before. They were much larger than the rest of the bones. That's why American paleontologist Joseph Leidy named the animal with the giant bones Canis dirus, or the dreadful wolf, which later became dire wolf, which we now call the terrifying wolf. Over the years, more fossils of this wolf were discovered in various parts of America, Canada, Mexico, and others. That's why this wolf became very famous in American and European popular culture, and began appearing as a mythical animal in many artistic works. In 2021, an American company called Colossal Biosciences appeared, founded by an American businessman and billionaire named Ben Lamb, in partnership with geneticist George Church and based in Dallas, Texas. This company specializes in genetic engineering, and their main declared goal is to try to bring extinct animals back to life again, such as the woolly mammoth, the Tasmanian tiger, the white rhinoceros, the dodo bird, and our friend the dire wolf that we're talking about today. It's a company that excels in marketing and always stirs controversy with the things they do. The point is, one of the projects they worked on over the past few years was the attempt to bring back the dire wolf we're talking about. They started their project by obtaining a fossilized tooth of the dire wolf that dates back more than 13,000 years, and an inner ear bone more than 72,000 years old. They decoded the genome of the animal and extracted DNA from the tissues and used it as a map or catalog to work with. Then they looked for the closest living animal today, whose DNA resembles the dire wolf's DNA, and found that the animal in question was the gray wolf. So they took a gray wolf and made some genetic modifications to its genes to make it as close as possible to the dire wolf's genetic code. They focused on highlighting certain genes such as large head size, thick white fur skull shape, and others. They used a gene editing technique called CRISPR-Cas9, which is like having scissors to cut and modify specific parts of the genes, just like we do video editing. The researchers were inspired by this technique from the natural immune system found in bacteria, which defends itself against viruses. They noticed that bacteria cut pieces of viral DNA when attacked for the first time and store it in certain regions. So when the virus attacks again, the bacteria can immediately recognize the enemy DNA to stop it quickly. The point is that they prepared sperm from a gray wolf, made genetic modifications to it, and implanted it into a surrogate mother, which in this case was a female dog. They monitored the dog's pregnancy until she reached the birthing stage. And indeed, she gave birth to a wolf that looked like the dire wolf breed we're talking about. They repeated this experiment 3 times. The first time, a male was born and they named him Romulus. The second time, another male was born and they named him Remus. The third time, a female was born and they named her Khaleesi. For marketing and suspense purposes, they took the 3 wolves and placed them in a natural reserve in a secret location in America to protect their lives, provide them with necessary care, and monitor them at all times. Now comes the question that I'm sure you're all asking yourselves: does this mean that the researchers at this company actually managed to bring the extinct dire wolf back to life? The answer is of course no. There's a huge media exaggeration, especially from American news sites, all of them overhyping it. The researchers in the experiment didn't revive the dire wolf from the fossilized teeth and ear bones they found. They just took living gray wolf cells, modified them genetically, and placed them in the womb of a living surrogate mother to have a natural birth. All they did was play with the DNA. They didn't start a new creation or anything, and that's exactly what we all believe in, whether they claim they did it or not. The genetic engineering they used is also not something new or even miraculous like some people think. This science has been used in many fields for decades. It's used in the field of medicine when we make vaccines. It's used in agriculture and crops and other fields. The seedless watermelon you see and eat, that's genetically modified. In fact, even the 3 wolves that were born after this genetic modification process are not even dire wolves. They just resemble the dire wolves slightly. So the headlines in newspapers and media saying the researchers created a dire wolf are just nonsense. Because all the researchers did was make 20 modifications in 14 genes total to make the gray wolf gene they took look a bit more like the dire wolf. And of course they mainly focused on external traits: head size, jaw size, fur color, and so on. So it appears on the outside like a dire wolf. But that doesn't change the fact that there is a huge genetic difference between the dire wolf we know from fossils and the wolves that were born in the lab. Because according to genetic studies, the dire wolf is not even closely related to the gray wolf in the first place. In fact, their last common ancestor lived more than 5 million years ago, and this means that the dire wolf is genetically more like a different species entirely, not just a bigger version of the gray wolf. Even though they look alike on the outside, on the inside, in terms of DNA and biology, they are very different creatures. It's like comparing a house cat to a tiger. Sure, they may have similarities in appearance, but they're completely different species with different behaviors, instincts, and genetic makeups. So to wrap it all up, no, scientists did not bring the extinct dire wolf back to life. What they actually did was genetically engineer a gray wolf to look somewhat like the dire wolf in external appearance. It's more like a cosplay wolf than a resurrection. And the media, as usual, exaggerated things and made it sound like we're living in Jurassic Park. But we're still far from actually bringing back real extinct species, at least for now. Tell me in the comments, do you think it's ethical to genetically modify animals like this just to resemble extinct creatures? And do you think we'll ever really reach the day when true de-extinction becomes possible? See you in the next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss any of our future stories. This was Ezzo.